Recognitions. Would Ms. Josie Pierce please come forward? As many of you may know, the last few weeks we've had graduations from all of our high schools. When I attended the Casco Bay High School graduation, this young woman was chosen by her classmates to read a poem that she had written, and I have asked her to share it with us tonight. I was so moved by it that evening, and it also made me think that it would be nice for us to perhaps begin more of our council meetings incorporating a bit of the arts from our community. And so, Ms. Pierce, if you'd be willing to tell us a little bit about who you are and then perhaps read your poem, that would be great. There's a little button on there to push.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm Josie Pierce. I just graduated from Casco Bay High School, and this is the poem that I read to my graduating class. It's called A Redemption Story, and it's dedicated to our teacher, Mr. McNally, who believed in us 3 years ago when we didn't really believe in ourselves. This is a story about redemption and the ocean and the half sob-like feeling you get in your chest sometimes. It's about belonging and thinking that your ventricles might implode or maybe turn into mush. It's about heartache, that good, better for it kind of heartache. The heart that aches because we can remember what it was like before, when tears formed like tsunamis and spilled over empty ears, expanding the ocean between us until crossing the distance seemed like too much. We remember how unworthiness lodged itself underneath our skin, telling us day after day to give up. This is a story about the storms that settled in our stomachs, capsizing kayaks and flipping our world upside down. It's about last-minute miracles of insanity, overlapping voices yelling for equality, and that tidal-powered gratefulness that eventually rose up in our chests. In this story, you must understand. All the waves and the time we spent wandering, each performance, each monotonous mask of self-confidence or self-hatred, it was all worth it, if only because something got created in that circle on a Friday night in Queens when we put seashells of vulnerability up to our ears and listened to the sound of the ripples each of us could make, the resounding voices nearly lifting us up out of that church basement and straight into heaven. It's the story of us, walking the Brooklyn Bridge and building our own kind of bridges between us, over that ocean, in between high fives and flying hacky sacks, as we documented the same story in others, over and over, the story of redemption. We are the story that never stops, that only puts on a dry pair of Crocs after an almost hurricane, that only steps out in front of a microphone after an injustice, that only climbs up on a ladder and cheers after the challenge of creating a future clear enough to be written on a small green triangle and posted to the wall. This is a story about tenderness. It is about the times together on blue-gray carpets and in corners where we sit and laugh and play music. It is a story made up of 100 other stories, all threaded into a patchwork arrangement of community, and it is unraveling, fraying and losing strings to the wind, some to go places far, far away from the ocean, and all of us far, far away from the nights we spent with half sob-like things in our chests and that feeling of belonging in brick hallways. This is a story that seems like it's about endings now, and there's no way around it. In a few years, you may not remember anything I've said, or even the person sitting next to you right now, but this is a story that more than anything else has always been about beginnings, about new starts and second chances, about being the pioneers of our own redemption. And the ultimately happy beginning of this story is that there are 85 different parts of our collectively beating heart that will all be out there, somewhere, beyond the waters of Casco Bay, desperately rooting for you in whatever it is that you do. Thank you.
I will tell you, Ms. Pierce, that when I heard you read that poem, I leaned over to Principal Pierce and asked him if you were reading somebody else's published work. I can't wait to read your published work. Thank you.